Hello guys, welcome back to another trade recap. This trade recap is, I just wanted to show you guys why I was in a long and why I changed direction, actually went short and how I profited as well. So I'm gonna play the clip now. Actually, before I play the clip, I just want to show you guys the reasons that I had to enter the short in the first place. So first of all, we can see that the bids are stacking below the price. So that's already one clue that things might change, that they actually might come down, transact on these big bids. Why would they do that? Because they make money on every transaction that they make. Because when you sell, someone needs to buy. When you buy, someone needs to sell. And on that sell is a market maker. And because they're providing liquidity into the markets, they like to get something out of it, which is usually the spreads that they make. And they make money off the fees as well. So they will always go to the places where they know people are placed and situated. And we know that we can see that these limits bids are close to price. So that's naturally the next thing or the next spot that they will go to. So that's the first clue. Second clue is that we were at 50 MA and I was going long from this point, and you will see how I am at my entry point, and you will see a pump to the upside, but we saw the lack of selling coming in, and then they dropped, and then they do it again, and then I saw lack of selling and they dropped again. So I was already figuring out that they might not actually want higher prices and that they might drop down again to this previous low. So I'll just play the clip now and you guys will see what it looked like. Some sellers came here, but you saw someone on the bids. Now we see a push up. I'll speed up the clip. You see that fast push, but notice the amount of buying. You want to see 3-digit buying coming in. You can see 105 came in here and you saw price push up. Now price is pushing up, but it's not being followed by this amount of sellers that, or decent amount of buyers that you want on that move up. So I'm just getting those little clues about this move. And the more this trade goes on, the more time I spend in this long, the less confident I am in this trade actually going up. So I will point out all the details that I'm seeing and why I changed direction, as I said. Do you see that push up? And then they close immediately in the next candle below the 50 MA. So they drop down just as fast as they pushed up. You can see they're pulling from the bids, so no one is on the bids. No one is protecting this range. You can see 156 on the buys. I'm gonna rewind it because it's very important. Do you see how someone is matching those buyers here? It's very hard to see, but when you saw this 158 sell, someone was on the offers, and they were repeatedly selling it to the buyers, and that's why price didn't push up, because the demand of the buyers was met. You can see the bids are still there. There's a drop again, and this is where I change direction. Immediately close my short, or I immediately close my long, and I go short. Look at the bids. They're coming down. You can see how they're picking up speed. There's a drop. Focus on the amount of sellers coming in. Drops down again. No one is on the bids. 158. Then you see that fast drop. Do you see how fast they dropped? Look at the amount of sellers coming in. Look at that. 158 came in, and look at how fast they dropped down. There are buyers as well in this range. Drops down again. That's a fast move down. This is usually where I like to take my profits, because I don't like to be in a trade after such an extended move to the downside. Took my profits on the NASDAQ. So right now I'm just waiting for some sellers to come in after this retrace up. Focus on the sellers. 103 comes in. Starts to drop. 102, still dropping. 140, 159, 100, still selling. And then you see that push up. That's a pretty fast push as price is dropping, and that's usually my clue to get out from the trade. And that's where I took my profits. So I will need to speed up the clip now, because This is where I remain in the trade on the NASDAQ. Because I'm on one micro, I like to just let one trade, or I like to stay in the trade, let it do its thing, and then place it at break even. I will skip the video here because this is just where I remain in the NASDAQ trade. You can see this is my TP, it gets hit on that fast push up. So you can see what they did in this range. They dropped down aggressively, and then they tried to move up, and then they just consolidated in this zone. That's usually a clue for you to get out from the trade. You can see they even swept the lows. So yeah, I just took my profits at the right point on S&P, or here. This is the S&P chart. My stop loss gets hit on the NASDAQ, or my take profit. I'm gonna explain why I entered the short on the S&P. It was because of that fast move up, as I said. You see that fast move up? Notice the amount of buyers. It's not that much buying. It's the same thing that happened before, right here. And why we changed direction. We just didn't see enough buyers. As price is moving up, we didn't see that conviction that we want to see. And that's where I immediately went short. Again, we can see 3-digit selling coming in. So that's a clue to stay in the trade. 345, 377, you can see how they're selling into the bids. Price pushes up, but then it aggressively comes back down. That's a clue that a big player is in this range. They move up again. This is where you just need to absorb this kind of movement. This is where I take my TP. And the reason was because prices just didn't move up or down. They were just stuck in this range. I expected price to move down very aggressively, just because of the nature of how price moved. But I didn't get that move. And then, as I said, I saw how price was stuck in this zone. I didn't really see any selling coming in. So that's where I take my TP and exit the trade earlier. So yeah. And this is where I will take one more trade. Slow down the clip. Price is pushing up again. You can see how I marked off this sell zone. And the reason I did that is because this was it. You can see how every time they came into this zone, they marked down. They dropped. They came in here, they dropped. Came in here, they dropped. So I expected another drop from this point because a big seller was in this zone, selling every time price pushed up. So those are little setups that you can take, very small scalps, but you need to pay yourself very quickly as well. So you can see they came into that selling zone, but I kind of missed the short because they started to drop down. And then I kind of FOMO'd in, but then I moved my sell higher again. You can see how tight my stop is. I'm not looking to make much money on this trade. It's just a quick scalp, quick 50 bucks. And then they drop again from the same point. So yeah, that's just me trading the memory in the market. And yeah, pretty simple trades. Took 2 scalps. Changed direction at this high. Thought they would break up above the 50 MA, but they didn't. As I always say, you need to focus on what they're doing, not what you want them to do. You know, we are not predicting, we're just reacting to what we see. And what we saw was no follow through on the buy side, on the market buys. When price pushes up, we saw bids being stacked below price, which was close. So they wanted to come down to transact on those. We saw speed of the move. You can see how aggressive this move to the downside was. We had our target profits. Of course, we paid ourselves when the target profits got hit. We didn't FOMO win. We didn't expect to make much money, or we didn't want to make more money. We weren't greedy. We just paid ourselves. Then we remained in the trade on the NASDAQ. I put my take profits on the NASDAQ. Then it got hit. You can see how price jumped up and down. Not really the range that you want to trade. Then we traded that memory in the market. Every time they came into this 6675 zone, they came down. So then I just placed my short. Place your stop loss few ticks above so that you don't get stopped out on a quick push up. And then we saw a drop down. Paid ourselves again, and yeah, those are the trades. Anyways, I'm gonna cut the video here, guys. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you guys in the next video.